So I've been covering some relatively obscure consoles and computers in the last couple of months, and a lot of you have been really interested in that sort of thing because you're being exposed to systems that you never knew really existed, or games that you are now finding to be some of your new personal favorites. So this time on LaunchBox Tutorials, I'm going to show you how to get the GCE Vectrex up and running inside of LaunchBox. So I have my Vectrex games downloaded here, and they are all in the .vec file extension. So keep that in mind when searching for your Vectrex ROMs. Next, you're going to want to download the MAME 182B set from the MAME website, and you're also going to want to download the MAME 182B ROM set non-merged version. If you are using a MAME 181 or 180 ROM set, or 179 also works, you can use the split ROM set, which is significantly smaller and will work in this situation. Check out last week's Naomi tutorial for an explanation why the MAME 182 non-merged ROM set needs to be acquired instead of a split set. In short, the split set for 182 is just broken. In the ROMs folder, put all of your ROMs that you've downloaded, and in that package should be the vectrex.zip BIOS. We require these for the Vectrex to work. If you don't want to download all of the MAME ROMs, you can find a Vectrex BIOS online, but you know that if you download a MAME ROM set 179, 180, 181, 182, you know that you have a working valid BIOS. If you download one from the internet randomly, it may not work for you, so do keep that in mind. With MAME set up ready to go with the ROMs in the ROMs folder, let's head on into LaunchBox. Let's go to Tools, Import, ROM Files. We're going to click on Next, Add Files. We're going to navigate to where we have our Vectrex games. I'm going to click on the top .vec entry, scroll to the bottom, click on Shift, and then click on the last game, then click Open. You can use the Windows search like I normally teach to search for the .vec file extension and use Control-A to add all of those, or if you have a bunch of games in subfolders, but the Vectrex list of games is relatively small, so I just used the Shift-click method. Now we're going to click on Next. The platform for imported ROMs is going to be the GCE Vectrex. You can call this whatever you want. So for example, if you just wanted to call this the Vectrex, make sure that you set scrape as up as the GCE Vectrex. You do need the scrape as function if you're not going to call it by the default platform name. Otherwise, if you don't care that much, go ahead and just label it the GCE Vectrex. Then we're going to click Next. Where it says choose an emulator, it may not come up with anything for you. So go ahead and click Add. If you've previously added MES to your emulator list in the past, go ahead and select MES from the drop-down menu, then go ahead and click Edit. If you are adding the emulator, make sure that you do name it MES, and if you're editing MES or adding it, make sure you click Browse, navigate to your latest MAME install, or if you have an older MAME ROM set and are using an older MAME revision, just navigate to that folder, double click on the MAME exe, and there you go. We do want to name it MES and not MAME, because if we name it MAME, then LaunchBox will automatically try to use the MAME ROM importer, and since we're not using MAME named ROMs, we don't want to use that importer because it will break the import process for us. So we want to name it MES just so that we can use the regular importer. For the default command line parameter, we want to make sure that we put --skip_game_info space dash no window. In the associated platforms list, go ahead and double click an empty space, type in GCE Vectrex, or if you used a custom platform name just like regular Vectrex, put the non-scrape as the name that you put in on a couple of screens ago. In the default command line parameters box, go ahead and double click. Then we're going to add Vectrex space dash cart. What this is this is calling the Vectrex BIOS and then the type of ROM we are using, which there is only one, which are carts. I got this by going to my MES command line settings, which will be in a link in the description below. I used Control F and I found the Vectrex label here. Once I knew that the BIOS were just called Vectrex, I put the Vectrex name in, space, and then I called for carts, which is using -cart. And this applies to pretty much every MES BIOS and ROM type on this list. Once you have this line set up with your platform name and the default command line parameter, go ahead and check the default emulator box, go ahead and click OK. Then next, use the files in their current location. We are going to keep the LaunchBox Games database checkbox checked, but unfortunately the LaunchBox Games database doesn't have pretty much any of the Vectrex artwork. However, Emu Movies has pretty much everything from my library. So if you haven't obtained an Emu Movies account previously, I would suggest getting one now for all of the Vectrex artwork. Even if you don't get a premium Emu Movies account for the video, even if you just want the artwork, I still think that this is a really good option, even if you don't necessarily want the video, since the LaunchBox Games database doesn't currently have the artwork. So once you've logged in and checked all the boxes, go ahead and click Next, then Next, and then go ahead and click Finish if this list looks good to you. If it doesn't, you can click on a game and press Delete to remove it from the list, or double click to rename something to a different name if you need to. Then once you're good to go, go ahead and click Finish. So we've imported all of our Vectrex games into LaunchBox. We've set up MAME with the name for MES, and we've set up the command line parameter for the emulator. We've set up the command line parameter for the GCE Vectrex and in the associated platforms tab. We've put our MAME ROMs into our MAME ROMs folder and made sure that we had the Vectrex.zip BIOS in there as well. With all of that set, let's go ahead and double click on Berserk here and see if it wants to run. It may take a minute to load, but there we go. We've got the Vectrex up and running in MAME. Well, in MES, but in MAME more or less. I also don't know why there's a cursor on screen, but there's a cursor on screen, so there's something I can do about that. At least I don't know how to turn that off. Maybe there is something I can do about that, but I honestly don't know. But there you go. That's how you get Vectrex imported into LaunchBox and playable inside of MES in MAME. My name is Brad. If you liked this tutorial, then please give us a thumbs up and subscribe for more tutorials and content in the future. I do lots of gaming content on my channel, so if that sounds like your cup of tea, I'm currently in the works of revamping my channel, so head on over there if you are curious. If you are a Patreon producer over at our Patreon campaign, which is in the link below, if you'd like to support us, then your name is now scrolling up on screen. Thank you all very much for the support that you give us. If you'd like to get your name in the producer credits inside of the videos that we do and inside of the LaunchBox application, head on over to the link in the description that I just mentioned and support us at the producer level. Remember, freaks and geeks, to play more games, and we'll see you next time. Have a good day.